So I'm going to kind of expand on how do you get 10 clients a month from LinkedIn. You'll have seen the little PDF guide that accompanies this video. You should be able to download it somewhere on the screen. There'll be a link with this video somewhere where you can download this. But how do we get 10 clients a month from LinkedIn? Now, behind me, you'll see some of the atypical examples of what people are doing on LinkedIn to try and drum up business. They're literally hitting people up, telling people how amazing they are, how wonderful they are, how many awards they've won, how clever their tech is, but they're not really creating a conversation. So I'm going to walk you through 4 elements that really make your LinkedIn fly so that you can get them, the prospects, your target audience, onto a call and get them to become a client. Now, the first thing I want to say is whilst LinkedIn is a business-to-business social media platform, the sale is not going to be done on LinkedIn. Now, some of you watching me are saying, yeah, we know this, Dean. We know the sale doesn't happen on LinkedIn. They end up on a call and we put a proposal in, or we give them a fee quote, whatever it is, we tell them about our program, and then they decide to buy. So yes, we know the sale doesn't happen on LinkedIn. Okay, so if you know the sale doesn't happen on LinkedIn, stop doing this stuff. Stop doing this stuff. What a lot of people are doing is trying to convince people they should buy on the platform rather than convince people and make people curious to want to know more. So most of what you need to be doing on LinkedIn is not about telling people how wonderful you are. It's about making people curious about what you can do for them. Curiosity is what gets your leads onto a call. Curiosity is what gets people to inquire. It's not rafts of information. It's not your 7-paragraph sales pitch that will get people onto a call. So one of the first principles I want to talk to you about is content priming. So for many years, we've talked about 4 cogs of social selling. There's 4 elements, 4 vital elements, and they all connect together. They all support each other. And the first one is content. Your content should not be just blasting out information. It should be attracting people who have a need for what you sell. So there's a very particular content strategy you need to employ if you want to get a volume of clients. Let's say, for an example, I was speaking to somebody and they said, Dean, we've been using cold methods and we want to get more warm prospects. We're sick of cold calling, or we're sick of cold messaging. We want to do something that's better, more efficient and warmer. And the first foundation of this is content priming. What that process involves is consistently posting around a message which we developed using our AVP process, a message that allows you to understand their world better. So you find you're not talking about the gadget, you're not talking about the sales pitch, you're actually talking about their needs. And so people are attracted to that, people pay attention to that, people watch that, people observe that. So content priming is about educating your audience about the needs, their needs, and the way you approach those needs to make them curious. So content priming is about basically seeding your message through content, not overtly, not directly, not slamming it in your face, not telling people how wonderful you are, but getting a thread of a message through your content so people understand who you are, what you're about, and what needs you can help with. So content priming is really important. Then we come to the connecting. And for this, I'm going to show you a diagram. It's the 7 steps of social selling. And it's a principle we teach to corporates and to small businesses who want to get clients from LinkedIn. So what I'm going to talk to you about here is the 7 steps. Now, as you can see it on screen, hopefully you can see that on screen, there are 4 stages to this process. Now, if you're talking about major corporates, CEOs of FTSE listed companies, stock market listed companies, this process will be a bit longer and a bit more complex. But for the vast majority of people, trying to reach decision makers, this process performs. Sometimes for particular clients, we'll design particular paths, but for the vast majority, this process works. But it also helps you understand the principle. If you think just because you send a message, somebody should listen to you, you're probably a little bit deluded. LinkedIn, people are being saturated, and so you've got to create a point of difference. So if you want to stand out in that crowd of noise, in direct messages, in the feeds, there's only two real ways to do it. One is be bang on with your message, absolutely bang on, A-game message with your client. So it pays attention, it gets their attention. The other one is they know your name and they know who you are and you have a level of relationship with them. So there's 2 points of difference. One is you're bang on with the message, which is where your content priming comes in. And the other one is that you are bang on in terms of they know you, they trust you, they're familiar with you. There's a level of relationship. Even if it's just a social media relationship, there's a level of relationship. And so for your message to get answered, for your message to get opened, for somebody to pay attention to your message, doesn't mean they'll read it, doesn't mean they'll reply to it, because that's the power of the message. What we talk about is the 7 steps to get a good conversation with somebody. And it is simply this. You need to interact with a prospect twice before you try and connect. Twice before you connect. That will improve the connection acceptance rate. Number 1. That's fundamental metric. If you can't get connected to the right people, that problem will cascade all the way through your activity. So you've got to engage at least twice, and not on the same day and not instantly before you connect. Build a cadence of activity so that this person has seen you over a period of time. So it's not just one hit wonder. So interact and then a connection request. And keep the connection request simple, friendly, and easy. Relaxed. When they accept your connection request, thank you message, real simple thank you message. Thanks for connecting. You can do a little short intro if you want to, but nothing too heavy, really low key. Keep it relational. Why does this matter? What you're doing is you're building up an activity base where this person, this prospect, sees you enough that they remember that name, they remember the company name, they remember a bit about you, so that when you do send a message, when you do outreach, it's not cold, number 1, and it's not just a random stranger. People are more inclined to respond and read messages from people who they are familiar with. So then we go, okay, we've done our thank you message, interact 2 more times, 2 separate days, not the same day, not day after day. I'll give you some tips on this in a moment. Before you send an outreach message. And remember, on that outreach message, it's about making sure that the prospect responds to you. It's not about blasting how amazing you are. It's not about how amazing the result is. The goal of that message is to just get people curious enough that they want to talk. So 7 steps. Interact 2 times. The more meaningful the interaction, the better for you. I don't mean, by the way, here, spam comment people with promos for your company. I mean, actually engage with people properly. Connect. Thank you, short intro. Engage 2 more times, then do your outreach. And I would space this activity over 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So in theory, you can be working with, I've seen people working with high numbers, but 25 people. 25 to 30 people over a 2-week period is comfortable. If you want to do more, you can do 50 people. The key thing is to get yourself organized and systemize this. The reason we have our 7 steps and our 7-step tracker is because people need to be organized. If they want to approach this without doing cold, they have to be organized. They have to take time to plan their activity and have a routine that they follow, a process that they follow. Will everybody convert? No, of course not everybody will convert. But if you do this process right, people will be curious from the content, and then they'll see the relational priming, as we call it, relational priming through the 7 steps, that they will go on then, I'll talk to Dean about that. I'm interested, I'm curious about what Dean gets up to. And so they'll have a conversation. This process increases the connection rate to a very safe level. It establishes relationship before you connect, so it's not in breach of LinkedIn's terms of service. You're building relationships from the very beginning, and it increases the responsivity. You don't need a robot, you don't need automation, you don't need to break the rules. It's just a human way to sell and market. Content priming, then the connecting, engaging, and the conversation. Quick tip, if your LinkedIn messages look like emails, you're doing it wrong. They should not look like emails. They should look like relational conversations, more like WhatsApp messages with somebody, an acquaintance, rather than look like an email. Because when you write an email to somebody, you are forcing formality into a social platform. Think about this. It's a social platform, and you write a formal email. Dear Dean, comma, new space line. I'm dropping you an email. It's like, really? Keep it warm, keep it friendly. Informal, but never familiar. So 7 steps. Content priming. Never underestimate the power of content. You know, I teach people how they can do all of this stuff, build their business just by using content. But if you've got an outreach, you need to do both. But what I would highly suggest to you, don't get obsessed with this, don't worry about this, just post, learn what works, consistently post so your audience, your connections see you consistently. And as a result, they get familiar with who you are. And then when you reach out, it actually helps you because they've seen you a number of times. They remember your name. They remember bits about you. They remember a post they saw about you. It helps you build the relationship to help you get those clients, get those conversations that lead to those calls, that lead to those deals, clients, sales, the works. So 7 steps. Prime with content and create relationships. It's about conversation. It's not about pitching. It's about conversation and creating curiosity so that people want to know more.